That Park Place says Variety grossly misrepresents apolitical James Gunn quote at Superman premiere as anti-Trump rant. Mark Malkin strikes again. Now, this is something when I was initially covering this story, I didn't know about this Mark Malkin journalist character that apparently has a history of misrepresenting stories, kind of like a certain ex-Kotaku journalist that we all know and love. And this is something that apparently the person has a history and track record with. Variety is once again under fire for spinning a neutral quote into political controversy, this time targeting Superman director James Gunn. At the film's press junket, Variety's Mark Malkin approached Gunn with a divisive question about the supposed backlash from Trump supporters over Gunn's earlier comments framing Superman as an immigrant. But Gunn didn't take the bait. And this is the actual quote. So let's watch this real quick.
You said it's an immigrant story. It's a political movie. MAGA today is going nuts. What do you have to say to MAGA?
I don't have anything. I think this movie's for everybody. I don't have anything to say to anybody. Like I'm not here to judge people, you know.
And he's saying this is a movie about kindness, and that's something that I think everybody can get behind. And when Variety ran their story, they were like, oh yeah, immigrant story, it's kindness. And if you just read what Variety tells you, you have the feeling like James Gunn is saying, oh, you don't like immigrants? You don't understand kindness? You have to understand that immigrants and allowing illegals into the country means you are being kind. And it's like, what the hell? James Gunn didn't say anything about that here. He's like, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I think it's about kindness, and I'll leave it at that. Which is a totally different story than what Variety was saying. Variety was like, oh no, it's illegal immigrants. Let me see. Let me bring it up here. Superman is about an immigrant that came from other places and how we've lost the value of basic human kindness. Yes, it's about politics. Which, what? Did anyone get that out of what you just heard him say here? Because I am pissed. Like, this is so grossly misrepresenting what James Gunn said that they should sue Variety. If I was James Gunn, I would be pursuing a lawsuit against Variety, because me reading Variety, trusting what Variety was saying, slamming Superman, people that don't watch this follow-up are going to just see my initial take on it and be like, damn, yeah, that Superman went woke. That's a bad movie. These people are crazy and blah, 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 blah. When in reality, we now have the ethics in journalism completely shot to shit, where we can't trust anybody anymore because they're always trying to push their agenda, their ideology, and their own personal movement when they write a story, as opposed to just covering a story for people. They have to get an angle, and they have to push the agenda with that said angle. I think this movie is for everyone, Gunn said calmly. I don't have anything to say to anyone. I'm not here to judge people. I think this is a movie about kindness, and I think that's something everyone can relate to. Where in this did he say anything about immigrants? Where, again, like seriously, where's the immigrant?
You said it's an immigrant story. It's a political movie.
You said it's an immigrant story. Source? Like, where did that come from?
MAGA today is going nuts.
What a setup, by the way. You said it's an immigrant story. You said it's a political movement. MAGA's going nuts. What do you have to say about that? And James Gunn's like, I am not. No matter what I answer this with is going to be used against me. So I'm just going to say nothing and say it's about kindness, because he doesn't want to deal with this. This is crazy. Like, where's this even coming from? It was a reasonable, non-confrontational answer. No partisan jabs, no attacks, just a call for unity and a reminder that Superman is meant for everyone. It was a course correction from Gunn, who was quoted just days earlier for saying, "Screw them" to any jerks who took offense to the movie's theme. But that's not the story Variety decided to run. The headline that misleads. In a piece co-written by Mark Malkin and Jack Dunn, Variety ran the following inflammatory headline: James Gunn, Nathan Fillion, and more on MAGA outrage over director saying Superman is an immigrant. I don't have anything to say to anybody. Spreading hate. That is such a gross misrepresentation that I don't know if they'd be successful in a lawsuit, but my goodness, the trust in Variety just took the Kotaku route of going to the shitter. I will never look at Variety moving forward as an outlet that I will ever trust a headline from again after what just happened here. That's how bad this is. This is why you can't allow your organization or your outlet to run a headline that grossly misrepresents what's actually happening. Let's be clear. Gunn did not say anything about spreading hate. In fact, he specifically avoided judgment, refusing to make any political statement at all. He didn't mention President Trump. He didn't criticize Trump supporters. He didn't even acknowledge the framing of the question. So again, the question was brought up to him from a specific angle. He could tell what was happening, and he's like, yeah, no, I have nothing to say to that. I just want this movie to be about kindness. And Variety took that and was like, perfect. We're going to run a story anyways. Say we interviewed you, and we're going to say whatever the hell we want to say about it to frame what we want to be out there. And we will show an interview of us talking to you, proving the point of our headline that does not match the full context of what we said to you. Variety took a non-answer from James Gunn and spun it as condemnation of half the country, which again, it says this isn't journalism, it's provocation. When I first covered this story, I was like, these people are insane. There's no way you can go to the red carpet and say what he said and think that was a normal thing to do. I think we've gotten to the point where we just start believing it now because Hollywood is just nuts. But even that was hard for me to believe. Even that was like, this is a bridge too far for even me. But if this is true, I don't want anything to do with Superman. I don't even want to give this movie a shot. And what I said when I talked about this previously was, that sucks because I really was looking forward to watching this movie with my son specifically and making up our own mind on this. But now I'm not going to. And now after I see this, I'm right back on board with, okay, yeah, I'm probably going to give Superman a shot now, which I'm very excited about because I always wanted to watch that from the beginning anyways. And oh, by the way, before I even go into the next part of this, I've talked to a couple different people who have seen pre-screenings of the Superman movie already, and they said it's a banger movie. They're like, it's nothing political at all about it. It's just a very good, fun movie. And I'm like, great. That's literally all I wanted out of a Superman movie. And it sounds like, in theory, if these people are to be believed, that's what we're going to be getting out of this movie. And I'm very hopeful that that is the people that told me this, I do trust. So I'm hopeful that it holds true for when I go to see it. The Mark Malkin pattern. For those unfamiliar, this isn't Malkin's first time stirring the pot. He has a long history of asking identity-driven questions on red carpets to bait celebrities into political or culture war commentary, which, by the way, perfectly fine for a dude to be doing that, just like it's perfectly fine for people to be like, yeah, I'm not going to be talking to this guy anymore, or no thanks, I'm not answering that question. But when he starts taking that and spinning a story with a narrative anyways, regardless of what they respond with, that's where there's an issue. He often frames interviews to generate clickbait outrage and turns light-hearted projects into ideological battlegrounds. At the Agatha All Along junket, Malkin repeatedly asked Marvel cast members if the show was the gayest Marvel show ever, inserting identity politics into nearly every exchange. Then, during a recent conversation with Ridley Scott, Malkin attempted to spark controversy by suggesting same-sex kiss was removed from Gladiator 2, a claim Scott immediately shut down. Malkin doesn't ask questions to learn, he asks to create viral headlines, which again, in the media, that is to be expected. I don't have a huge issue with that because it happens all the time. I have an issue with him misrepresenting, grossly misrepresenting what people are responding with. If he's able to bait someone into saying something stupid, have at it, bro. Write your headline and you got him. Hook, line, and sinker. It's really jackass to be like that, but people in this world are going to be like that. But misrepresenting it, that's a whole nother thing. Gunn avoided politics at Superman premiere. Variety forced it anyway. This isn't just about one misleading headline. It's part of a larger pattern from Variety, which earlier this week already misframed Gunn's comments to the Times of London. In that profile, Gunn acknowledged that Superman touches on themes of morality and kindness, and that Clark Kent's immigrant background is central to the character's identity. But Variety's earlier reporting selectively framed those remarks as a dig at conservatives, sparking days of online debate and helping to fuel the very outraged narrative that Malkin referenced on the carpet. While James Gunn handled the moment with restraint, others in the circle gave Malkin exactly what he wanted. Nathan Fillion responded to the Trump supporter question with a sarcastic jab. Sean Gunn, James' brother, went even further. That was the other one where they were confusing Sean and James together. And I'm like, what is going on right now? It goes on and on. I could go through all this, but to the end point that I really want to get to with this is James Gunn didn't do the things Variety was insinuating that he did do. And I am grateful to hear the resolution and truth to the story is, no, it's just a good movie and they want people to enjoy a good movie. And at the end of the day, that's all it is, no matter how much they try to grossly misrepresent what was said there. But I will leave that one right there. And I will definitely be seeing this movie in the theaters at some point.